So I was going to use a prop, and the prop was going to be the DVD for season 8 of Game of Thrones, which is right there on the mantle. But when I went to go grab season 8, I discovered that I did not ever buy season 8 of Game of Thrones. My box set was only season 7. That is how much I absolutely fucking despise season 8. But somebody asked me to rewrite season 8 using the information that we now know from House of the Dragon. Okay. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but I feel as though we may be able to knock this out in roughly about 5 minutes. So, my season 8 opens up at the end of season 7, both sex. Major thing that I'm going to change, Daenerys and Jon are expecting a child. The both sex led to basically Dany's pregnancy. Now, exact same things are going to happen. Daenerys and Jon are going to arrive at Winterfell. The Northerners are a little bit more hostile to Dany because they haven't seen Targaryens in forever. The last Targaryen that they remembered was Aerys, and he was insane. And they've never seen dragons before. But for the most part, I feel as though the main crew, or the main point of contention, which is Sansa and her feelings towards Dany, we're going to simmer that down a little bit. I'm going to have Sansa play more of a hybrid between Peter Baelish and Littlefinger, where she's basically playing the game to get the best outcome for both House Stark and Jon, because she sees that she has one thing that she can never beat Dany with: dragons. Another major thing that I'm going to change. Arya is not going to kill the Night King in season 8. I am going to make Arya actually kill Melisandre, and I have a reason for that. So in House of the Dragon, we saw that the dagger, when it was placed in intense heat, the dagger would glow and show the prophecy and the dream of Aegon the Conqueror. Having Arya kill Melisandre when they end up meeting again would have the ruby around her neck, which is powered by her god, would basically empower the dagger, and we would be able to see the secret message left behind by Aegon the Conqueror. This would give Jon and everyone more or less the information that they need, and then it would also give Bran a chance to go back in time and view Aegon the Conqueror and see just exactly what his dream was. That way he could inform Jon to the maximum extent of the prophecy, which is that Azor Ahai, the Princess Promise, will need to plunge the blade into the heart of the woman that he loves, and upon doing so, Lightbringer would be forged. At that point in time, once Melisandre's dead, Arya is going to give that dagger to Jon, and he's basically going to keep it with both that and Longclaw to kill the Night King. We're still going to have Winter show up at Winterfell, maybe around episode 5, No, I'd say Winter would show up around episode 3, episode 4, where preparations are done, the wall has come down, the Night King is showing up with Viserion, and it's an all-out war. We're not going to do the stupid Dothraki charge, which leads to the Dothraki dying. We're going to hold the Dothraki in the back. We're going to let them basically run into the trenches that were set up at the front. We're going to set the trenches on fire using oil or some other type of natural resource, because we don't really need Melisandre to do that, to have it be her like last gasp. And it's going to be an all-out slugfest where we're going to lose Rhaegal to undead Viserion. Drogon is going to be like the last dragon that survives. Everything is going to shit. Drogon's trying to clear the way. He can't. Jon's trying to get to the Night King. He can't. Jon and Dany are the ones who are essentially surrounded. It is not going to be Jon and Jorah. And in that moment, Dany basically tells him about the prophecy, and Jon is going to plunge the dagger into Dany's heart. Upon plunging the dagger into Dany's heart and he withdraws it, the dagger itself turns into Lightbringer, the legendary blade wielded by Azor Ahai, and it automatically slays all of the whites, which leads to an epic confrontation with the Night King himself in the Godswood, with Jon having the blade and the Night King having his ice scythe. Never really explained what the fuck that weapon is that the Night King is wielding. And Jon is able to slay and kill the Night King. Of course, like I said, Daenerys was pregnant with Jon's child in this, and I don't know whether or not I'm kind of mixed between having Daenerys' child survive by in some magical way, shape, or form. And the reason why I'm saying that plunging the blade into Daenerys would essentially create Lightbringer is because when Daenerys created her dragons, she used blood magic. And on the show, she maintained basically that power of being immune to fire. It would make the most sense that that strength that's in her, that magic that's in her, that's the power that's more or less required with the blade of Aegon the Conqueror combined to basically complete this final ritual that would in turn create Lightbringer, the blade that's basically going to save the entire world from death and destruction. Instead of burning Daenerys, Jon is going to take Daenerys and he's going to place her in the crypts of Winterfell, and he's going to essentially gather up the remaining forces that he has, the Dothraki, everyone that's now loyal basically to him since he's the de facto leader, and he's going to march south to get Cersei off of the throne. Cersei's going to have the Golden Company, but at this point in time, Jon is going to be bound to Drogon, and they're essentially going to lay waste to the entirety of the Golden Company. King's Landing is not going to be sacked. Jaime is going to not go south. He's going to stay in the north with Brienne, essentially working on repairing the north after the death of the countless millions of people. Clegane Bowl is still going to absolutely fucking happen between both Sandor Clegane and Gregor Clegane. Another thing that's definitely going to happen, Arya is definitely going to kill Cersei, and she's probably going to kill Cersei wearing somebody's face. I don't know whose face it's going to be, but I'm definitely going to give Arya the kill. I feel as though one of the things that annoyed me the most is that Arya never completed her kill list, and it would be great to have Arya complete her kill list and have Cersei be the final person that she kills, even though Jon was basically just going to depose her and probably exile her away. Wrapping things up, Jon becomes coronated as king. I am not coronating Jon as king as Aegon. There are too many goddamn Aegons in this house, so we're going to change his name. In this one, instead of Aegon, I'm going to go with Jaehaerys. That was Jon's name that Rhaegar named him. He named him Jaehaerys because it makes no sense for Rhaegar to have a son called Aegon and then go off, marry someone else, and have another son called Aegon. So I'm going to say that Rhaegar called Jon Jaehaerys, and that is his Targaryen name. He's going to be coronated as the new king, which no one should be complaining about. Tyrion's going to become the new Lord and Warden of the West of Lannisport. He's going to take basically his seat at the Lannister ancestral home, because at this point in time, Jaime doesn't want it. He's tired of all this shit. He's tired of being a knight. He's tired of fighting other people's war. He just wants to retire basically with his wife, or maybe not even retire with his wife, because I feel as though Jon would probably, since Brienne's been knighted, he'd allow her to be the captain of the Kingsguard, and Jaime would probably follow her as captain of the Kingsguard. Of course, Jon at this point in time still has Lightbringer, so he travels back to Winterfell, and he goes down into the crypts where Daenerys' body was laid. And when he gets into the crypts where Daenerys' body is laid, he places Lightbringer on her chest. There's like this giant explosion. One of them is a giant explosion. There's like this final show of magic, and this is where one of the rumors of something being down in the crypts of Winterfell comes into play, where we discover that a long time ago during the Dance of Dragons, a dragon laid a clutch of eggs down there in the crypts of Winterfell. Everything goes up in the room in a giant funeral pyre, basically. Jon standing in the center of the pyre. Daenerys' body burns, and then from the fire comes a child. I don't know, like, it's fucking magic and it's blood magic and shit. But Jon's child, Daenerys, basically comes from that fire, along with the birth of however many fucking dragon eggs are down there. But that's more or less me spitballing, like, off the top of my head. I haven't written anything down. But with what I know now from House of the Dragon, and with the way in which Season 8 of Game of Thrones ended, and this is not me going back, because I feel as though the major issues started around Season 6. This isn't me going all the way back to Season 6 and doing a full rewrite, but for the most part, that's how I would suss it out. Jon basically becomes king, Daenerys passes away because the prophecy has to be fulfilled. Or if you wanted to, you could absolutely flip that. Due to the fact that Jon has died, you can make Daenerys be the one who plunges the blade into Jon, and then she becomes Azor Ahai with the blade, and she can go off and have the child, and then she lays Jon to rest in the crypts of Winterfell. She places Lightbringer with him, and then Lightbringer basically brings to life all of the secret dragon eggs that have been kept in the crypts of Winterfell. And then Daenerys basically becomes queen. She has her new child, who I don't even know what freaking name she'd probably give the kid, off the top of my head. Jaehaerys. Again, I like Jaehaerys. Jaehaerys is a dope ass fucking name. But yeah, that's basically like me spitballing how it makes season 8 of Game of Thrones now that we've seen the first season of House of the Dragon. Let me know what you think. Peace.